We all ready? Cameras all rolling?
Rolling.
All right, we're joined obviously first by Austin FC head coach Josh Wolff. Whoever wants to start us off with the first question, go ahead and do so.
So there's rumors of a new sporting director, Rodolfo Barella. What can you say about the possibilities?
I think we're always in a place where we're looking for good leadership. I think we know that space was empty and vacated earlier on this year, so I speak with Anthony often about the direction that we're going to go as a club. So until anything's finalized, I don't think that's something we talk too much about.
Is it imminent then?
I think there's lots of talks with many potential candidates. So I think going forward, there should be some information in the near future, but we keep that in mind.
More with someone with his pedigree, right?
Yeah, I think it's important you bring in leadership that helps fill a void that's in the building. Obviously, there's a good amount of leadership inside the building, so marrying that up with someone that certainly has qualities of a sporting director, contacts around the world, obviously a technical acumen, connection with the leadership and ownership. So that position, I think there's some standards in mind that sitting in that space that person should be responsible for.
Josh, was the plan all along to eventually bring somebody in and talk to candidates, or was there a theory that potentially it could be you and Sean kind of going forward, and it just has been untenable?
Yeah, I think in the interim, there's always this. We all would take up a little bit more responsibility. It's unsettling for something to happen in January, December, January, whenever it was finally. Obviously realized that Claudio was stepping away. It also makes it unsettling in the offseason. The offseason was unsettling. We lost some players unexpectedly because communication broke down. We didn't get players in that we should have probably got in. And we didn't move players on that we probably could have moved on. So without a sport director in place and the uncertainty that provided, it put us in a spot that started the season. It was challenging, and it's been difficult. We all assume some responsibilities. We welcome that opportunity. I do, Sean does, Dave Tenney, and Andrew. So it's been insightful. It's been certainly educational, but it's my focus and job is primarily the first team. But when you start giving time to other areas, it certainly affects that. So I look forward to us, sometime in the future where we name sport director, and obviously I can keep focusing on what I've been set out to do, but have enjoyed being part of all the other processes.
Is there anything you've learned in the past few months that maybe wouldn't have been the case if Claudio or if that sporting director spot hadn't come open?
Well, I think there's the role of the coach, and certainly how I manage the space as a coach, connections with ATX2 staff, high performance staff, all that space I live in daily, and is a big part of what my daily routine looks like. I think the roles that you take on, you're more in-depth meeting and talking with agents, with players, which we did when we were building out our roster. I think there's more conversations and meetings with ownership as well. With Sean, sharing that space, looking at our roster, the roster composition, the budget. So all those things I think add in. And for me, I expect to be a coach in this league for a long time. I want to be a coach in the league for a long time. Knowing what that space is like and the importance of all the rules and the ways to navigate the rules, I think that's education for me as well.
Looking ahead to Saturday, is Kip going to be paired with Julio in the center? Is Alex available? What is
Who you
the
want, Phil?
status?
Who you
well,
want?
that's your call.
Well,
that's why I'm asking.
You grab us such great information off of the social media. Who do the people want? Who do the people want?
But seriously, Alex, what's his availability come Saturday?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see where he's at. I mean, he's part of training, so we'll have to see where he comes through the week.
I saw one fan say you, so I don't know what you're...
Yeah, that's not happening. I think it's gotten thin. It's gotten thin. It hasn't quite got that thin. But look, I think Rado did an awesome job filling in. I think there were some, certainly some lumps along the way with, again, I don't know if we've had 8, 9, 10 different pairings at back line when we've had a back 4, a back 5, but Kip has been in our space now for a little while and gotten games, I think, with ATX2, which has been helpful. There's a nervousness to him I think you still see out there, an energy to him. I think he understands what we're doing, but it's about executing. Until you can go out there and execute it consistently, there'll be those questions for him and for those around him. But we support him. We expect him to play, certainly get some minutes in these games coming forward. Alex hopefully gets fit. We can utilize him in a good way. And Julio's been strong since coming back. He's been what we've expected, what he's given us for the last 2+ years. He's a leader in his way. He helps us certainly in build up. He's a very good defender in and around the box. And offensively, you can see what he gives us on set pieces. So Icklin is also another guy that can play along the back line. So we're looking, as I mentioned before, we have some plates spinning inside the league and outside the league. And we have a level of urgency, but we also have to be responsible.
It'll take some time to acclimate a new center back too.
It would, yeah. And I think when you deal with internationals, there's the time it takes to get them here, certainly for all the paperwork, and then getting used to the climate, getting used to the game model, and so forth. And we'll see what's in the league as well. But is it a 6-month option? Is it a long-term play? We got to see. We have Leo Bison for a number of years, Julio for a number of years, Alex can give us cover. So there's a few ways we can navigate it.
So speaking of acclimation, you're pretty famous / infamous for taking a while to onboard new guys, which is why I got to ask. Lilstrom posted a picture of Ruben Gabrielson working out and tagged our club and put our colors on the post, and he would just make a ton of sense to just slot right in immediately. Any chance he's coming back for a season-long loan?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much sense that makes at the moment. We let him go on a free, and I'm not sure if that's likely to happen. Ruben's a great friend of everyone's. He left on his own accord and for personal reasons. So I think there's still some contact probably from some players inside the locker room to him. So I think he's probably aware of our situation. But we all love Ruben and his personality. But I think that would be challenging to pull off in many levels. But we appreciate his support, interest, and certainly his charisma that he's always showed.
But that were you for John, and what was your conversation like with him after you found out?
Well, we did that after the game. I'm surprised we were able to keep it under wraps for a little bit. But I think Johnny, again, in 18 months, he's transitioned he's been there from the start for us, and we've used him as a winger. And after that first year, we talked to him about his ability to possibly transition to a fullback. And not all players want to hear that. He welcomed that opportunity. He welcomed it with the way that he plays. He welcomed it with an open mind to learn. And I think you've seen him now execute in an extremely good way over 2 years. I think offensively, we used him in a few different ways on both sides. But his ability, I think, to take on the defending, how you defend the penalty box, how you defend in dual and 1v1s, how you connect to the line. Those are things that become challenging when you're an attacker now moving to fullback. So he's still getting better at those moments, but he's gotten much better. And I think that's what's put him in a great space with our group. And we're extremely excited for him to represent our city, and we're proud of his development while here at Austin FC to give him that opportunity to play against Arsenal.
And then earlier this month, he had said that when he was a junior at Notre Dame, he wrote down, for you as a former player and then coach, how important do you think it is to keep chasing after your dreams?
Really important. I think you set goals. I talk to our players, my children. You set goals. You set short-term goals that should have some believability in achieving them. That helps shape behavior, and John had that goal in mind. He mentioned shooting for the stars. I think some guys are making some shirts in it, wearing these around the locker room for him, having a little jab at him. But I think it's important for players to set goals and to have ambition to grow and develop. And as a young player, he had a thirst and a belief in himself, which is what you want. And then now it's about going out, delivering, and certainly showing the consistency.
Getting a sporting director place, how much better will this team organization be having gone through what you've gone through, knowing what you know now as opposed to earlier, once you get that in place?
Well, I think any sport director, that role is different in clubs. Is it more of a GM role? Is it more of a technical role? So depending on what the club has in place in its leadership inside the building, I think also helps shape that. There's a few ways clubs do it as far as it being more budget related, player recruitment related, technical through the first team and the ATX2 and the academy related. So I think it's what candidates are there, what does that candidate bring with them, and then what's here to support that. So without giving too many things out there, I think those are things that Anthony probably thinks about and we've talked about.
Brad nominated for the second straight year for SB's Humanitarian Award. What would your letter of recommendation be for this year for him to bring it home?
I think Brad has shown who he is over the last 10 years. I think there's been a consistency. It's just who he is as a human being. Brad and Ashley do an incredible job in the community, and they have when they were in Columbus, when they were in New York, as they arrived here in Austin. So it's a credit to them as human beings, and that's a big part of it. And obviously sharing that space with our organization and utilizing his platform is incredibly useful for him. But at the end of the day, it comes from his core, who he is as a human being and what he wants to do and how he can bring good to the community. And we support that.
SBs will be the same night as the Vancouver game. Where's he going? Sorry.
Just we're no rush.
ESPYs are the same night. What night is it?
12th.
Who are we playing?
Vancouver.
I haven't even looked
In
past.
Vancouver.
Who do we play next? We're going to Miami. Yeah, those things are challenging. So we'll look out for Brad as best we can, but he is our starting goalkeeper. We have every expectation that he will be on the field for us. But we welcome him and his opportunity.